Hello, everyone. Today we're going to be talking about common biases and errors that occur in performance readings. My name is Michaelides, and I will be your trainer today, and I'm really excited to get started. First off, on behalf of everyone at Enterprise Rent-A-Car, we want to say congratulations on reaching your first frontline supervisory position. We are so excited for you to continue to advance in your careers and develop professionally. This is an awesome achievement, and we are so happy to have you all. So before we get started, it's important to discuss why are we learning this? I'm sure that's going through a lot of your heads right now. So unintentional errors limit the validity and reliability of performance ratings, which we all know are very important. This can damage employee trust and limit the perceived fairness of performance appraisal systems, can limit our employee engagement and increase our turnover. Learning about these errors and biases can really help us minimize their impact. And more accurate performance ratings will really help enterprise make better decisions. It'll help us do better needs assessments for future trainings. It will help us make better employment decisions, and it will help us reward our top performers. So before we get started, let's reflect. Have you ever felt a performance evaluation you received was unfair? Can you think of any biases that cloud your own judgment when you were making decisions? Do you think the performance evaluation system at Enterprise is accurate? We'll answer all of those questions once we get started. So let's talk about these common errors. We first have unintentional errors that can occur subconsciously. We may not even realize we're making these, and learning about them is the best way to avoid them. On the other hand, we have intentional errors. These errors can sometimes be done on purpose to reach a specific goal or make ourselves look better, but we'll get into that. Let's first talk about these unintentional errors. So as we're talking about each of these commonly made errors, we're going to talk about what happens, why this is bad, and how we can avoid making this error during our performance evaluations. So let's talk about halo and horns error. This occurs when the assessor bases assessment of the employee on just one positive or negative thing they did. This is bad because one negative or positive event overshadows all of the other behaviors that employee exhibited throughout the year or the quarter, depending on when you're doing your evaluation. This really clouds our judgment because we're only thinking of one incident rather than that employee's performance as a whole. So how can we avoid this? Performance should be evaluated on multiple dimensions to get a holistic view of the employee's actual job performance. So as we're creating our assessment systems and making our rating systems, we should ensure that employees are being evaluated on multiple criteria, not just one, so that we're not letting this one positive or negative event really dictate how we rate this employee. Next, let's talk about first impression error. This occurs when the assessor develops a negative or positive impression of an employee the first time they meet them that affects their evaluations for the rest of time. This is bad because it manipulates our thinking into believing a person is whoever they were the first moment we met them. So if I have a really great experience with one of our employees over here the first time I met them, I'm going to have a really positive impression of them, even if their performance really isn't great for the rest of the year that they're working here. I'm going to let that one positive interaction I had with them, that first impression I had with them, really cloud my judgment. So how can we avoid this? We need to keep track of performance throughout the year and put together performance snapshots so that we can really identify good performance and poor performance. We can also get feedback from multiple points in time so that we're ensuring that we're looking at the employee's performance throughout the whole year. And we can get feedback from multiple perspectives. This is going to help us not put so much pressure on our own selves to come up with a good rating. And this will really help us get a 360 view of the employee's performance. Next, let's talk about recency bias. This occurs when the assessor rates the employee on the basis of the most recent and recallable behavioral impression. This is bad because employees are able to manipulate their ratings by engaging in attention seeking behaviors when their evaluation is coming up. So, let's say I have an employee, I haven't really been able to keep track of their performance well. I've been busy throughout the whole year. And that employee knows that their performance evaluation is right around the corner. All of a sudden, they start coming into my office asking me what they can do to help me out. I'm like, wow, this person's really putting in a lot of work. But in reality, they were only putting in that work for the few days before their performance evaluation. So, how can we avoid this? We have to help our own memories by writing things down. We should document performance throughout the year or the quarter to gain a better picture of the work done throughout the entire period. Our memories are not perfect, so we can help ourselves by writing things down. Let's talk about similarity error. What happens? The assessor gives more favorable ratings to employees who are similar to them through shared appearances, interests, personalities. So, if I really have a lot in common with someone, that can actually affect the rating that I give them. Let's say someone enjoys sports, enjoys shopping. I'm going to have a really similar connection with them, and I may like them more, just unintentionally. This is really bad because it can lead to discrimination of people different than us, people who have different interests, different backgrounds, different education. We have to be really conscious of similarity error. We can avoid this by sticking to the established assessment criteria during the evaluation process. We really want to be thoughtful while we're making performance evaluations and stick to the established assessment criteria to ensure that we're not letting our similarities with someone cloud our judgment. Next, attribution error. This occurs when the assessor makes unreliable judgments on the causes of high or low performance. As you can see in our little cartoon here, when we are receiving good feedback or we do a good job at something, we often attribute that success to ourselves. It's the hard work that we did and the work that we put in. However, when we see someone else succeed, we may think they just got lucky. This is bad because it can lead to self-serving attribution error and cause supervisors to not take responsibility for poor performance. As you are all becoming supervisors now, it's important to think about where your employees' poor performance is occurring from. Is it because of something you're doing? Are they not working hard enough? Or are we as supervisors not getting clear instructions? Are we not getting clear feedback? We really have to think about what these root causes are rather than attributing positives to our own success and negatives to someone else's. So we can avoid this by distinguishing when performance is not within the employee's control and when it is. All right, now we're going to move on to the intentional errors that are often made in performance evaluations. First off, central tendency error. What happens? The assessor does not distinguish between high and low performers and places everyone in the middle to avoid conflict. I know it can be difficult to give a low performance rating, just as it can be really difficult to give someone a high performance rating. To avoid conflict, we can put everybody in the middle. And we don't want to do that because that can demotivate high performers and give low performers no encouragement to improve. We want our high performers to feel recognized and know that they're doing a good job. We want them to feel motivated to keep doing their good work. However, we really want low performers to improve. We have to help them so that they can help the organization be more productive. We're not helping anyone by beating around the bush and putting everyone in the middle. The best thing you can do to help that person, to help your employee, is be honest with them so that they are getting the correct feedback they need. We can avoid this by eliminating the middle option or using multiple assessors. Many times when we use numerical rating systems that are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we may often circle the 3 for everyone. If you find yourself doing this or you see someone on your team doing this, think about that and think about reevaluating that numerical rating system or that qualitative rating system so that middle option isn't available for people to rely on. You can also use multiple assessors, like I mentioned previously, to get a 360-degree view of that person's performance. It can be really helpful for their subordinates to assess their leadership skills. It can be really helpful for supervisors and coworkers to all give feedback on employee performance. The last error we're going to talk about is leniency error. This occurs when assessors give out undeservedly high ratings to avoid personal conflict or to make themselves look better. Like I said previously, it can be really hard to give out negative performance reviews, but the best thing we can do is to be honest with these employees so that they can improve their own skills and develop themselves. This also occurs when supervisors want to make themselves look better. I know as supervisors, you may think, oh, if I have an employee who's performing poorly, that's going to look and reflect poorly on me. So I'm just going to give everyone a good rating, and then it'll seem like I'm doing a great job supervising and managing these employees. However, this isn't going to work. This doesn't separate between high and low performers, and it's really going to decrease the validity of our ratings. So how can we avoid it? We can build performance skills that spread out ratings and identify top performers. We really don't want everyone to be at that 5-level top performance because that's just not reality. We know we have high performers, middle of the pack, and people who are struggling. It's really important that we spread out these ratings, use different ranking systems, so that we're not giving everyone those high ratings. All right, so let's see this in action. Let's watch a video together, and can you identify which error the assessor made during this performance evaluation meeting? While I click this up, talk with the person next to you and see if you can figure it out together.
I know, right? I mean, I hate having to review the
Let's take a look.
because it makes me look like the heel.
I know, tell me about it. I'm waiting for Avis to come in right now. I have to address her tendency to bluff her way past missed deadlines.
And she didn't botch anything with Lincoln and Waters, did she?
Yes. After a few major deadline fiascos, we were this close to cutting her from the team last month. I mean, if performance doesn't change.
Whoa.
Tell me about it. These reviews are the hardest.
Yeah, come on. Better you than me.
Avis, come in. All right, so as we get started here, I'd like to focus on your project performance and your deadlines over the last 6 months. What's your perspective?
Okay. So I know this is off topic, but I just wanted to tell you how sorry I am about Claude.
Claude?
You know, your cute little beagle, Claude.
Oh, my dog.
Yeah. See, when I was a little girl, I actually had a beagle too. His name was Winston, and when he ran away, it broke my heart. For a long time, I couldn't even see a beagle without crying.
I appreciate that, Avis. I really do. But
you know what? So I rallied the troops, and ta-da! I stole this picture from your wall. You don't mind, do you? And as for the rewards, don't worry about it, because we have a pool going around the office. Oh, and as it turns out, Brittany is a Girl Scout leader, and she's putting together an entire service project just to get the word out.
wow.
Yeah.
Avis, this shows a lot of drive and initiative.
I love dogs.
You know, our company just cannot do without employees like you. I want you to know how much I appreciate everything that you're doing. Everything. For the company. Nice job. I'm just gonna sign this. Can I keep one of these?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd like to.
Please.
Oh, that's just fantastic. I miss this little guy so much.
All right, did you guys catch the error? Talk with the person next to you and see if you guys think it's the same one. That's right. This is clearly showing recency bias. Avis has had poor performance throughout the quarter, and her supervisor knows that. However, when Avis comes in and has these pamphlets to find the supervisor's missing dog, suddenly she lets that cloud her judgment and gives Avis excellent ratings. This is going to make the organization make poor training and development decisions in the future. Avis isn't going to receive the development she needs, and her performance is likely to stay the same. It's not going to improve. So make sure that even if someone comes in into your office with a bouquet of flowers when you're about to give their performance evaluation, make sure you refer to those different critical and behavioral incidents that you recorded throughout the year to make sure you're looking at their performance as a whole. Great work, everyone. Let's do one more together. Discuss with the person on the other side of you, and we'll discuss what happened in this situation.
I don't understand. You're telling me my job performance is below average? I take my job very seriously. My empirical study objective was to expose multiple business profiles that work in our same technology sphere. I found several opportunities that I can almost guarantee will give us an edge, and I predict 36% over our competitors over the next 3 quarters. It all comes down to compatible business relationships between marketing services, accounting services, and technology. Hope you don't mind that I tuck in while you hit me with all your questions. You might find this bit of information delicious and juicy. Paragraph 2, line C.
You're going to need to up your game here. I see a lot of room for improvement.
That's not what I expected to hear at all.
I'm sure you'll make all the necessary adjustments. Just get the fish out of my office.
All right. What did we see here? All right, take a minute to discuss, and let's see if we were able to identify this error. If you said Horn's effect, you were right. This supervisor is remembering this one bad performance that this employee had, and it wasn't even a bad performance. He was just eating a smelly meal, and that really clouded the supervisor's assessment of him. Even though this was a one-time thing, the supervisor let this negative incident cloud his judgment, and therefore this employee got a negative performance evaluation when he may not have deserved one. This is going to demotivate this employee and make them feel really frustrated that their good work isn't being recognized. So like I said before, we have to make sure that we're looking at critical behavioral incidents throughout the year and recording performance on different projects throughout the quarter, throughout the year, so that we're really keeping focus on their performance as a whole. Good job, everyone. We all did a really good job identifying these 2 errors. So finally, let's talk about some of our key takeaways. We learned about unintentional errors versus intentional errors. Now, we may not even realizing, maybe some of you just realized, I've made these errors before. That's okay, we all do. It's human nature to have biases. Luckily, the best way to avoid them is to learn about them, which we just did together. Create a rubric for evaluations. This is really important. We can't just expect ourselves to recall every incident of performance and just overall say, yeah, their performance was good. We have to have a rubric that we can rely on that has different performance indicators that we can give different scores on. Make sure that the key performance indicators we use are specific and related to job performance. Someone who works in sales may have different KPIs than someone who works in marketing. We just have to make sure that the KPIs we use are related to job performance so that these ratings are realistic pictures of their performance. Utilize multiple assessors. Say I have an employee and I'm their supervisor. If I don't feel I have a great idea of this person's performance or attitude in the workplace, I can talk to some people who work under that employee. What are they like as a leader? How do they manage people? I can talk to other supervisors and see their opinion on this employee. And I can also talk to this employee's coworkers to see how they work in a team. This is going to give us a 360-degree feedback for this person, and this can be really meaningful. Document critical behavioral incidents throughout the year. I know I repeated myself, but this is extremely important. So to reiterate again, we have to make sure we're documenting these incidents of poor and high performance. This is going to give us a really good picture when it comes time to that assessment at the end of the year of the great things that employee did that year and the things that they need to improve on. We don't expect everyone at Enterprise to have photographic memories, and we don't expect you to remember everything. That's why we write things down and document them. While we do assessments at the end of the year and at the end of the quarter, make sure you're giving meaningful feedback regularly. As supervisors, you guys will have to work with your employees and help them improve consistently. Throughout different projects, you may notice something that an employee can improve on. You don't have to wait till the end of the year during a performance evaluation to tell this employee that. Make sure you're giving them meaningful feedback regularly so that this employee can see that you care about them, can see you're invested in their performance, and this will really mean a lot to those employees and keep them improving throughout the year. If we see some of those intentional errors like leniency error and central tendency, we can use forced ranking or banding. Let's say you just can't help yourself and you're giving everyone a 5 out of 5 for their rating. Using forced ranking can force us to identify those high performers, medium performers, and low performers. Ranking is where we go 1, 2, 3 continuously. Banding is when we kind of have a top tier section, a middle tier section with multiple people within those bands. Either one can be really helpful in helping us kind of see who are our top performers and who are weaker performers so that we can see how we need to develop those people at the bottom and how we can maybe use succession management to promote those people at the top. And like I said before, being aware of these biases is the best way to avoid them. We just learned about all of them, and I really think you guys have a great idea of both unintentional and intentional errors. Being aware of these biases can really help us minimize their effects. They're impossible to eliminate. By knowing about them and catching yourself when you make these errors or when you see someone else making these errors can really help us minimize their effects. So make sure you are continuously thinking about these and refreshing your memory. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, everyone, well, great job. You all did an amazing job today, and I'm really happy I got to spend this time with you. 1 week from now, you will all be asked to present what you learned today back to your teams. This is both to assess how effective this training was and seeing if you were able to absorb and retain the information we learned today. This will also give you a great opportunity to work on your own presentation skills and spread the knowledge that we learned today through the rest of your teams. Also, please fill out a satisfaction survey before you go so that I can improve as a trainer and we here at Enterprise can get the best ideas of the most effective training systems. Thank you all so much for joining me, and if anyone has any questions, feel free to stick around. But again, congratulations, new supervisors, and thank you so much for being here today.